welcome to Smitty's. I'm a woodcutting fanatic that loves to run a chainsaw. I run alcohol chainsaws, corded chainsaws, I race chainsaws, and I even run the occasional vintage one. Now remember, I cannot do this without you. You're everything to the channel, so please remember, subscribe, give that thumbs up, leave that comment.
Today, you're going to have a lot of fun.
How are we doing today? Hey, we got two cool things for you on this video. First of all, I decided to take the Pullin' Wild thing and take it one step closer to a hot saw. So we're going to show you some cuts on it. It is one step closer to a hot saw. We got the pipe on it. The only thing I haven't done is alternative fuels like running methanol or nitromethane or something like that. So that would be the final step if we wanted to go that far as a Wild Thing hot saw. Undecided still on that step, but it does now have the expansion chamber style pipe, and we're going to get to see it run. But the main subject of this video is the firewood. The cleanup is done, everything's done, the splitting's done, the cutting's done, all of it. Is it worth it to buy your firewood by the triaxle load, or is it better to purchase it from another individual? It's up to you to decide, but we're going to run the numbers. We're going to tell you how much wood I got. We're going to tell you how much it cost and all sorts of stuff. I'll give you my opinion. Now, part of my reasoning for doing this and keeping track of everything is because I've been considering getting into the business of selling firewood. And I need to know this information. For me to go out and try to drag logs out of the woods and all that stuff, it's not worth it to me to do that side. I'm not a logging company. But I could hire a logger to drop logs off that I could process for firewood. So we're going to go through the numbers. We're going to find out, is it worth it to get into the firewood business, or should I look elsewhere to earn extra income? And that's what we're going to look at today. Alrighty. Okay, so it's time to do all the math on figuring this out. How much wood I have, and I've been going through it. This stack here is 3 rows deep, and it runs, this is the short one, and it runs, you know, it's a little short of 2 cord as far as lengthwise goes. So if I measure all the way over, 8 foot comes to here, but if I measure this way, if I measure from here to the end, I'm a foot short of that next cord. But if you look at the height, right here is my 4-foot mark. So if you'd come over all the way over to here at the 4-foot mark, that would be 1 cord. So this much up would be extra on top of that cord. And I think I have enough across the top of all of this that if we just imagined adding another foot to this, we would have 2 full cords sitting here. I am fairly certain with it. Now I've been doing the same thing with the long side of this stack. The difference is that it is only 2 rows deep. Now I have it marked out. This is the first 8-foot mark. This all the way down here, that would be the second 8-foot mark. And let me show you the third one. Now the third 8-foot mark would fall about right here, just shy, okay? But I do have some down here that if we kind of imagine pulling it up here, would be good. But again, we're not 3 rows deep. So every 8 foot is short of a cord. Now what I'm imagining here, let me take you over here. If you remember my markers I was pointing out. So there's 3 8-foot markers, and then the 4th one is the end. So what I did is the first 2 8-foot markers are good. That's 2 cord. But the third one, I'm ignoring it because of the 2 rows that I need on the first 2 8-foot markers. So I'm basically ignoring it, imagining each one of these is added to that. Like each one of these rows is added to that in order to make them full cords. That's how I'm measuring, or just imagining this. I'm not trying to come up with an exact number, you know what I mean? Now again, the stacks are a little tall. The 4-foot mark is, down about here. So the whole length of this across the top is in excess of the cord. So basically I have the 8-foot, the 16-foot, the 24, and the 32-foot mark is kind of the end of the stack. And I am basically imagining that little bit extra on the whole pile would be enough to complete this last 8-foot section into a full cord. That's how I am imagining it, which would give me 1, 2, 3 cord along the long part of this. 2 cord on the other one, that's a total of 5 cord. But there's more. I have another stack. I will show you images of it right now while I speak. It is a round stack. All right, so as you look at this round stack, I did the math on it. It came up at 3.17 cord. But you can see the line in which the firewood that I cut from the spring versus the wood that came off of this triaxle load. You can see the line of separation between the 2 stacks. So I'm basically just calling this up as 1.5 cord because it is really close to the halfway point. So I'm just going to say 1.5 cord of this stack came off of the triaxle load. Now, one thing we want to look at here is the length of the pieces. If you can tell from the camera, I have a lot of varying lengths of firewood. My guess is anything from 10 inches to 22 inches, anything in between. When people are cutting without some sort of a measurement, they tend to be a little off. And we did not use any sort of measuring at the event. So yes, the pieces are extremely random. But I was talking to Josh at JK Saw Shop, and he had an idea about a little contest. I think I'm going to take it one step further. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a 50-50 contest. Basically, the fee is $1. It gives you basically $1 per chance. So you pay $1, it gives you a chance to win. You go over, you look at the log, and you wipe off 16 inches, your best guess at 16 inches. The person at the end who comes up with the most accurately sized 16-inch piece wins half the pot. And the other half of the pot will get generated back into the following year's event. I think it'd be a kind of a fun little contest we could have to see who can come up with the closest 16-inch cut. You're not allowed to try to measure it in any form. You're literally just to walk up, whack a piece off, and see if you can do it at 16 inches. Now, as far as cutting all the pieces to an accurate length, that is something we will want to look at in the future if we wish to get into doing firewood as a business, setting up some sort of a processor unit or something. It is one feature that we will want to look at because we need to be more accurate than this to cut wood and try to sell it on a professional basis. I prefer to be professional with everything that I do. So that's one thing I will want to look at making sure I can accomplish, is to cut an accurate 16-inch piece, 18, whatever size is needed in my little processor unit that I put together so that we can be professional at it and sell things accurately. But for this, in this situation, it's no big deal. It all works, it all burns, we're good to go. It's been a good full 24 hours since I started the fires to burn up my mess, and they're still burning. Still, I'm getting smoke in the face. It'll be another day or so until this is all burned up. But back onto our subject, we are sitting at 6.5, roughly 6.5 cord of wood from one triaxle load of logs. Now, if we do the math, I paid $700 for the load of wood, sitting at 6.5 cord. We were expecting it to fall between 6 and 7 cord, but we wanted to be certain. And here we are, 6.5. Perfect, right on the money, right? And that works us out to roughly $120-ish per cord of wood. Now, the question is it worth it? In my area, you gotta pay no less than $225 per cord of wood delivered in this area. It's no less than $225. If you wanna go to Locust or something like that, you gotta pay a little more. Now the question is that extra $100 per cord or whatever worth it? It depends on the person, really. If it takes you 2 hours to cut and split 1 cord of wood, that's $50 an hour, correct? You're making. If you can do a cord of wood per hour, that's more like $100 per hour that you are making. So to get into the business of firewood for me, I would need at a cord or more per hour for me to be happy with it. I would prefer to be closer to 2 or 3 cord per hour. So doing all the work with a conventional log splitter, conventional chainsaw setup, to me is not the way to go. Now, for me to explore this in the future, I will probably look at a firewood processor and possibly building one. Now, my log splitter might be homemade, but it works fantastic and I love it. And I already have ideas in my head on how to turn this into a firewood processing setup where I can roll the logs in, cut them, split them, and spit them out really easily. All I gotta do is have a piece of equipment that will physically pick the log up and move it around in any which way that I need to. There's different types of equipment. I could go with a mini excavator and all sorts of things, but for me to get one piece of equipment that will do anything I need it to do on my property, I need to have a bucket and a hoe style setup. I need both in order for it to do everything I need it to do. So I am starting to think more and more and more that I need to find myself an old beat up backhoe that runs and modify it to function in a way that I need it to function. I believe that would be the best way for me to get started in this business if I wish to do so. But splitting the wood and cutting it conventionally by chainsaw and manually handling all the wood is not worth it to me. The physical strain of it in order to produce that much wood to serve a customer base, to me, it is just not worth it if you're not running a processor. So that is my goal. Figure out a processor setup at some point in time But now I know that 6.5 cord per triaxle load is an accurate number to go by. Now we will speak more of this into the future as things develop, but that is my current feeling on the subject. Now, just to keep you in the loop, I still don't have enough firewood on hand, so we will be working at getting more wood here on the property. In fact, I have more coming. My next door neighbor is clearing out a section of his property. I told him I would take anything 6 inches and up, but he is having a tree service come with a grinder and everything, so we may not get all the little branches and stuff that we would typically take, but hopefully, we get at least a cord or two out of it that we can add to the pile. And that is coming up next. The project is supposed to start here in about 2 weeks. So soon we're going to see more wood coming to the property. We just don't know how much. It could be 2 logs or it could be 6 cord. We don't know. We're going to find out. Now, for those of you who stuck around, the wild thing, we took it one step closer to a hot saw, and here you go. We're going to check it out. I still need to put a chain on it. The chain's on its way. The chain you're seeing right now is literally semi-chisel, extreme, like the big long blades, safety chain, safety features and everything. All of that is going to go away. We're going to put a good chain on it. And then I think we'll be ready for Sawfest. I decided to take this saw with the pipe, and the pipe, actually I had it on another saw, and I didn't realize all I had to do was take the bolts out and bolt it on this one. And it worked. So that's what I did. Wouldn't you? Anyway, hey, here we go. And if you're wondering how the pipe changed the performance level, it basically helped the saw hold RPM through the cut. That's what it did. It wasn't designed for the saw, so we can't expect great gains from the pipe, but I did see a gain, so I am running with it. It just helped it maintain the RPM through the cut better. That's it. So here you go, the wild thing. One step closer to a hot saw. Here you go. Hope you enjoy it. All right, that'll be it for you today. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you made it till now, I hope you've hit that subscription button, that thumbs up, that like, left a comment or something. I hope so. Don't forget there's memberships available as well for those of you who wish to support the channel. Thank you for sticking around to the end. And hey, we'll catch you on the next one. Later.